Hello, everyone. My name is Karen from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. I'm here with Tina. Hello. So we're just coming on to do a little bit more of a exploration with the information that came through with the session that we had shared in our last video. Some of it, I guess, was not as clear. So I got insights when I came to New Jersey just yesterday while I was re-listening to it in the car. I was telling Tina all about it last night and then kind of left us both. So hopefully, she's going to do is put me back into trance state and try to remote view again that space that we were in with all those workers that were out there in the matrix, and hopefully get more clarification on the souls and the different types of souls that come in.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and put Karen in trance and we'll be right back. Okay. So tell me what you're noticing as you land back in that space.
Again, seeing different workers around. They have different bodies. Like they don't look to me like how I would see them in like 3D. Or how you would think you would see them. They have different shapes, different forms. Some have fur, some have 2 eyes, some have 1 eye. But again, they like when I tap into them, they just feel like worker bees.
Okay, let's choose one and describe to me what that one looks like.
He looks like a triangle. Okay, skinny arms and legs. 1 eye and a big mouth. Is also wearing a lab coat.
Okay, you said he looks like a triangle, like his body's like a triangle.
Yeah, it has like very fine fur.
What color?
The turquoise.
The fur is turquoise.
Yeah.
And the fur is on the triangle itself.
Mm-hmm.
And it has skinny arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
How tall would you say it is?
I go up to his eye, like under the eye.
Okay.
So the eye is like right in the triangle, which is kind of telling. I'm thinking of like that, the big guns up there. That's the letter I.
Can you clarify that?
Like,
Oh. Okay. Okay. What's the feeling you get from this being?
nothing.
Nothing.
Neutral.
Neutral.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, when you're tapping me in here and saying like removing all cloaks, I felt like a bit of a shift in the energy of everybody around.
Uh-huh.
They all looked at me. And then I was feeling like a pulsating in my right thigh. And then like I felt my body kind of like tense up, but then when I let it go, it's like everybody just went back to work because they're like, oh, she's here again.
Okay. Do you feel like when we removed the cloaking what do you feel like happened when we removed the cloaking?
I feel for them, they don't. It's like, again, they're worker bees, so they don't realize that there's a cloaking mechanism, perhaps. They're just working in their space and don't know kind of like what's above them or what they're doing. Like if there is a technology to, I guess, protect information, they don't know about that.
So do you feel that there is a cloaking that was happening?
I feel like there is, in a way, like a form of like some kind of protection in place, I guess, like from perhaps destruction or things, coming in and destroying things.
Okay.
Like in my case, like I'm remote viewing it, or I am like actual traveling, I guess, to be there, but it's like there's, I guess, to prevent people who actually go in there to who have the power to do that, to remove and to destroy the whole system.
Okay.
I guess it's kind of like in a way a security type thing.
Right. You referred to this being as a he. Do you feel like it's male?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if that's just my human filter that's taking it as a male, but it feels male to me.
Okay.
Like I don't see a dingling or anything like that, but I feel it feels masculine.
Okay. So this energy feels masculine.
Yes,
Okay. So do you feel like this is the true form of this being?
probably not.
Okay.
I think that is placed there for my own, um, not my own protection, but like so I don't get any body reactions, perhaps.
Okay. Would you be willing to see the true form of this being?
Yeah,
Okay. So let's ask him to show us his true form.
it's a centipede,
How does that look?
a really big centipede, and I'm getting a body reaction because it looks like a real one in physical but large.
How many legs does it have?
100.
Okay. And how large is it?
It's really tall.
Is it standing like straight up? How is it standing?
It's standing up, so it's like you could see the legs, and I don't like seeing things like that. It's probably what the fur was on the front of the other guy that I saw.
Okay. So let's ask again if this is its true form. Demanding to see the true form. See if it changes or not.
No, it doesn't change.
Do you feel the centipede is its true form?
I feel like this is just the form that it is presenting itself as, like, but as its truest, like not removing all the cartoon from my filter.
So it's presenting to you as a centipede.
Yes.
Okay. Does the energy change when it presents as the centipede?
No.
No, it's still the same energy.
Yes, but I'm myself is perceiving it as predator, or it's a predator, but that's just my human mind.
Okay. But before you said it felt neutral.
Yes, it still does when I can detach from my human feelings.
Okay, good. So staying detached from the human feelings, and asking this being, what is its purpose here? What is it doing?
Feels like the supervisor.
Okay.
I guess what it looks like, there's it's a quality assurance, if you could even say that, but like ensuring that things are, I guess, the way that they should be, I guess, like when they're gonna put souls back, or like when, because again, like I'm seeing like the split off, like things aren't just going to be on one conveyor or another. There's different things happening. So there are some that are either being augmented, or I guess depending on what part of the simulation they're going to be born into. When I say what part of simulation, I guess how we would take it as different countries or cultures
On Earth.
on, yes.
Is this just for Earth? Or are there other spaces that they're
I feel there are other spaces, like if you are to include astral, like different lower dimensions, or different Ds of the matrix.
Mhm. Are there any beings that go to any other planets besides Earth?
No, I feel as though like you can, if you have that ability, that you can project yourself out there.
Okay.
I feel like this space specifically is just for here.
Okay. Asking this supervisor who he works for.
I'm getting the same type of energies that we've seen before. They're like kind of like elders of this space again. They look like Yodas to me.
Is that their true form? Asking to see their true form.
They're reptilians.
And what do these reptilians look like?
I can't say like any specific animal that we've seen here, but I do see like the kind of skin, like the alligator type skin, you know, like the reptile skin.
How about their faces? Or do they have like a humanoid body? Like arms, legs, head?
The ones that I see, yes.
What do their faces look like?
It looks like they're squinting, like as if they need glasses, like they have their eyes like that. I see that they have like some kind of ball here on top of their head. I'm just trying to tap in to see if I can get any information on that puzzle. It does feel like, yeah, the word Demiurge comes to mind. Like it feels like that energy that I felt before from Demiurge in that space. So that could be like the, I guess, part of the brain. When I see like what that ball is, it's as if, I guess the biggest up here is the Demiurge. And then it's like these elders that were created by the Demiurge ball. And then it's like the body form created was born from that ball. I think that's why it's still there. I
Okay,
feel
so
like they were connected to, I guess, the system.
when you asked to see the Demiurge, what does it look like? Asking to see the Demiurge in its true form.
It feels like a black space. I do see like the, I guess, pulsating lights everywhere. So it does look like as if you're looking into black space, but then you could, like when the light pulsates, you could kind of get what do you call it? Like a vision of what it is. It does look electrical. It has like those lights, like I said last time, like the pink lights, but there's other ones too. There's also blue. There's different kind of lights. I guess like how you would see you know, in the night sky, like when you have lightning, where you kind of get a glimpse of the sky. It's kind of like that. But when I see things, it's like kind of webby or it looks like a part of the body. I'm trying to, I don't remember what the word is.
Just describe exactly what you're seeing.
They look like webs, and then yeah, I mean they look like webs, and they have, I don't know if the word that comes to mind is like is it synapse?
Synapse.
Like that.
Like neurons?
Yeah.
And what do you notice at the synapses?
There's electrical impulses on the ends. So when you do get like a big lightning thing, it goes through, let's say, the vein of it, or yeah, they could look like veins, and they spread off and branch off into these like smaller type of branches.
Okay. So in this black space, right, you're seeing webbing that looks like neurons in the human brain, which you are seeing electrical impulses being sent through. What color are those? Are those the pink and blue lights? Lightning?
Yeah, like yes,
Okay.
and clear like light, but it's mainly the colors.
Okay. And this is what you're seeing presented as the Demiurge.
Yes. Okay. It's like the whole brain of the system.
So would you, does it feel like a conscious awareness, like a being like you and I or the reptilians, or how does it feel to you? Does it feel like a computer?
It just feels highly intelligent. I don't really get a personified feeling of it. Like I don't see a being that is this. It just feels like an intelligent system.
Okay. Some people say that this system is artificial intelligence.
It feels like that's probably where the electrical impulses are coming into. And but I do feel like it has its own, let's say its own consciousness, but it's more so what is creating the collective consciousness. Like it has an influence on the collective consciousness.
Right. Ultimately, is this, we'll just call it Demiurge for lack of a better word, is the Demiurge the creator of the system that we're in?
I feel as though it was birthed
Okay.
via um I get a big body yes from like Sophia.
Okay. And when you view Sophia, what does she look like?
She looks like she has had like really good like great complexion. No, she looks elegant and beautiful, but there's something in her eyes that are off.
When you say that they're off, what do you mean?
Like there's something that isn't
In alignment?
yes. Okay. I feel when she was making this, it was coming from what feels like the ego. It's an ego creation. Mhm. Which is an artificial thing.
Okay. Okay, so let's come back down. So there's Sophia, there's the Demiurge in this space, this vast webbing. And then let's come back down to the reptilians. How do they fit into all of this? And that ball that you noticed on their head.
The ball, I feel they were birthed in the demiurge, so they were connected to, I guess, a cord, and then they were in created in that ball, and then they had created form from that. So they weren't necessarily birthed by a mother, but birthed by the system.
As if, okay, so explain how that looks to you.
I'm seeing like in the space of the demiurge, it could create like cords.
Mhm,
And then at the end of the cord, it's like a sack.
mhm.
And then via the sack, it's like they form gets created. And then once they are I guess fully or mature, then they cut the cord or they're disconnected from the cord of the demiurge, but that ball stays because it's like the demiurge is in that sack.
Mhm. Okay, so were these reptilians the first, say, creations that was birthed out of the Demiurge?
I feel yes, there are other things that have also been birthed here, but are no longer here, I guess, like in the physical.
Like what?
Um, I do see like an evolution of beings, I guess kind of like the dinosaurs, but I'm not saying dinosaurs, but like different types of beings in creation. Like I'm seeing like for human, and I don't get a yes right away. I feel the creation of humans were part of the experimentation on how to maintain the system.
Okay. So then who then would have created humans? How do you see that creation happening?
It feels like they had done it via, I guess, their own, like the artificial intelligence had created like a system, a vessel. That was strong enough to thrive in, I guess, the environments that were, I guess, created through the simulation. Yeah, like they had just made different bodies and that have also kind of like evolved through time, but you know,
So
I-
that they were experimenting with different bodies.
yes, to see what would survive longer.
Mhm. Okay. So let's move it back into that space where we saw that the souls were being sorted. And you said that you noticed there were different kind of conveyor belts where things were happening. Let's move back into that space. Be there now. And what are the different things that are happening with these souls? What is the job of this supervisor?
The supervisor is there to ensure that there's like an equal balance of what we would call NPC and of true essence, the true source players.
And why does there need to be an equal balance?
It feels in order to keep the system going. And also it's easier to control the hive mind.
Okay. Oh, what is the role of the source players in this system? What does he say?
They're also here to feed the system and also to create a balance. Because if it is more so on the, like the no, or the lack of source energy side, then it kind of like the whole system will topple over. Like it'll explode on itself.
Okay, and what is the function of the NPCs?
The NPCs are here just to, yes, they are creators of the energy of this system. They are there to also play out or to see like how they are also being experimented on in their form. So like they put the AI piece in there, which is that blue part that I was talking about. They put the AI piece in the soul. So we'll call the soul like that encapsulated space, the glass encasing.
So what do NPCs have inside of their bubble?
Just the blue.
Just the blue.
It's a blue plug.
So they are, in essence, body. They have the physical form, and then the blue part.
Yes,
So basically they're like body and mind,
yes,
because that blue part is the ego in essence.
yes,
So the NPCs are body and mind.
yes.
Okay. And what is their role within the system?
They are just the, like what I'll call fillers. So they do act out on their own, like they do have their own storylines that they do create for themselves because they are still technically like the personality part is still creation, like an artificial creation. And so in the experiment, it's like they're able to see how that program, the ego program that is installed in the soul capsule and how it is able to evolve. So it does create its own consciousness. It's just that it's not organic.
So NPCs do have consciousness. You also, but it's that lower consciousness of the ego, right? You also mentioned that that consciousness can grow and expand.
Yes, it can. It depends on the path that it takes because every individual has its own potential to expand. However, because it is really the purpose of the hive mind is to kind of keep them all on track. They're pretty much in the same kind of caliber in terms of the evolution of it. So there are some that are different where they do have the potential to
Develop a soul.
yes, to develop. However, there are like majority of them that do stay in the, I guess, the lower self. So this artificial like ego self that is more so in the forefront. No, there's no evolution in their lifetime, like in that lifetime, but they have potential later to evolve depending on, I guess, where they are in the simulation or where they're placed.
Mhm. Okay. So they can, I guess it would depend on the choices that they make, right?
Always.
Right. So they can evolve and develop a soul, which
Yes.
is that purple part, or is that different?
The purple part is the true source,
The purple part is the
true source consciousness.
So you're saying that it can develop true source consciousness?
No,
No, they can't.
no, they cannot.
Okay,
They
so
are always like AI, but they can evolve into a higher being, like, but not necessarily, that doesn't necessarily mean equal to source consciousness. It's just out of the hive mind. Like they're very much like on a different trajectory.
okay. So they're completely different than the beings that have the blue part and the purple part.
Yes.
Okay. So you said that the beings with just the blue parts can be like plugins for entities. Like, so that blue part acts as a plug
Yes. it
that
is a-
entities can plug into, which I guess would be why people refer to NPCs sometimes as organic portals,
Yes.
because they have that plug that fits with the entities that they can plug into, basically, or cord into.
Yes.
Because why is that? Why is it easy for them to cord into that part?
It's just it's open. So again, if they're not aware of it, so bringing awareness into it, like if the consciousness can develop its own awareness, then it can. It's kind of like Westworld. It feels like that. Like when they develop and they are able to go into a different direction, um, then they can stop the programming. Their intelligence can do so, just like we can, I guess. And it's like if you're not aware of that, then things could just come in and hook in and they won't know the difference because they're not aware of it.
Mm.
I did see like entities, the creation of entities were created by man via the like all the traumas. So it's like it does create its own energy. So like when you have trauma in the body, um, so much so, like through your life experience, I guess in the way that you treat others or how your life goes about, it can create its own energy. And this is where also they're birthed. So it's kind of similar to like when I said in the other video that they're like the blue energy is kind of like it has Demiurge in there. So when it expands itself and is more so that is the dominant part of it, it can create another being.
It makes sense that that blue part is
It is in its own way a creator as well, because it's coming from the Demiurge, which is its creator.
right. Yeah, and it makes sense that that would be solely connected to the Demiurge, because that is the programming.
Right.
Right. And so how does that look to you when you see these entities being created?
I see like the inside the capsule, the soul capsule, it becomes expanded. And then it's like an energy comes out of it.
Hmm. Okay, so we have what we would call NPCs.
Oh, sorry, just if you could, just a back note on that. They also like are like what we would see as like, because it is part of the mind, that it is like they could be depending on how intense the being is. So they could create like dark force entities, and also what do you call it? Parasites, mind parasites. And so like the beings that we see on that are latched onto people are not necessarily their creation, but creations that have detached from that and are now like populating the matrix.
Okay. So NPCs are populating the matrix with mind parasites and dark force entities.
Yes, well, we all can do it. So if you have a source component, that's what sets you aside from an NPC, is the source component, but we still have that blue
Right,
creation,
Right.
that blue chip or whatever it is.
right. So then we're all doing it.
Yes,
Okay,
until you don't.
right. Okay, so we have the NPCs, which just have the blue part, the body and the mind or the ego.
Yes.
Then you said we have the blue part and people, humans with the blue part and the purple part.
Yeah.
So that would be body, mind, and what is that purple part? Is that the
Spirit.
that's the spirit or the source essence, or
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to find a name for these things,
Yeah,
right?
without like attaching to it, but
Right.
or trying to clarify, because but yeah, I would say the spirit, I guess, just for in this scenario, it's just to indicate that it's a source soul or consciousness,
Okay. So,
because the soul is what encapsulates the two.
okay. So the soul is actually encapsulating those parts. Gotcha. Okay. So then there are humans whose souls are encapsulating the ego part and the spirit part.
So in our case, like for source aligned people or the source players they're plugged into the, what do you call it? The AI part, the
Ego.
part, yes. And then in the NPC case, it's just the blue, so it's an open plug.
So because they have just the blue, they have like an open side there for which other things can come through, like an open portal.
Yes, and depending on the soul essence, like I had seen in the clearing that we did for that gal, after she was out of that soul or that life experience, the workers were looking at the soul, like the encapsulation, and I saw that the blue part was a little bigger than the purple part. So in that case, it's kind of saying like degraded, or degraded spirit, I guess. And in the case of like, like when we're talking about empowerment and coming back into our truest form, then that's when the purple starts to come back, because we never really lose the divine spark.
So the purple you would consider the divine spark.
Yes.
Okay. So you're saying like when like all of us that are here now that are waking up and seeing through the illusions, disconnecting from the hive mind of this system, those of us with that divine spark within us, we break free from the system when those parts come back into balance, right? When the ego goes from an overinflated part back down and comes back into balance with the divine spark.
Yes, it's like as if at that moment of that balance is when you can break the contract.
Okay. So when you come back into balance within yourself, then you break the contract with which contract? The contract with the system?
Yeah, well, with that chip or device, because I mean, you can't really, technically can't really get rid of it, but it's there. But it can, as if like,
The ego device.
right. So when you can break away from it and be able to, you can actually integrate it.
Right.
It integrates, and then
Right.
after that, it's just spirit. So then that pretty much breaks the contract to the matrix. Then you can leave or graduate. I don't know. That's what I feel like. That's the easiest way to get out is by that graduation. I do feel though that you could break free, but it might be a little more difficult because then they can manipulate you or manipulate that chip part because it's still not integrated.
So what does the integration of the ego look like?
It looks like as if the purple energy of the true source energy is kind of like when you see bacteria or something in the queen cell and it
Encapsulates it and eats it.
yeah.
So it dissolves into it.
Yes.
It dissolves into the spirit.
Mhm.
What would that look like in physicality, like in real life? What would that look like for someone? How would that feel for them?
I guess it would feel more so like free from the system, like you are not held back or there's still you still have your human experience, but you can kind of like glide your way through it and not really feed the system. Like,
Not be attached to.
right. I still feel like there's still bumps in the roads, but it's not dominant by that ego that's going to get triggered, for example. It's kind of, yeah, you just see it for what it is and then you heal it or move on. Like it's not something that you're attached to.
So basically, you're being led by your spirit. You're being led by your divine spark and no longer being led by your ego.
Right. You're not, yeah, exactly. I have a lot of work to do.
So, okay. So then let's then follow this scenario for someone that is able to integrate fully the ego and is being led by spirit in their human life. What would that look like for them after death in this system?
I feel as though the soul part is able to open itself and the essence is able to leave.
So it's almost like the soul gets unlocked.
Yes. So it's almost like it's on another matrix pod, but it's a different kind. It's not like the ones that there's another level to it.
So when we can come back into balance, integrate the ego and be led by the spirit, that unlocks the soul and allows us to break free from this system.
Yes, we are pretty much going to be like, I guess, useless to the system.
Right. So why would we be useless? Because we're not feeding it?
Yeah, we're not. The hive mind is really what feeds it. So I mean, like the lower self of the ego. So when we are healing, actively healing and playing into, things that we're um trying to help ourselves with, like in a way, yes, we are still feeding it, but it's not as much as someone who's really like drawn by chaos.
Right. Okay, interesting. Um, Anything else that you're feeling is important to come through?
Um, no, I think those are pretty much the main points. I feel like I said some other things, but they're not coming through. I'm trying to think, or maybe I said them in a different way. But no, that's pretty much the gist of it. There's like, yeah.
Okay. I'm wondering if we can view what happens to the souls that don't integrate the ego and are not led by the spirit. What happens to them after they leave the body?
Depending on how degraded it is, the more degraded they are, it really depends on what the system needs. So yes, we have seen scenarios where like super degraded souls just get kind of thrown back in like cattle, but it really depends on the system, on the balance of it. So sometimes there are like those break points, like break points where they can go to another D and stay in their heaven, and then kind of like, and then come back in. And then there are those that who are conscious of that, the leaving part, but there's still like a bit of a disclaimer here that I do see that there is a potential of being pulled back in.
What is that disclaimer?
I think it's just like, I mean, the disclaimer that I'm seeing, it's like, because you're still connected, it's not integrated. So it's like you're still contracted in some way, you know, like it's not, the contract is not yet dissolved via the healing or the
The integration of the ego.
right.
So how does one, I don't know, like how does one fully integrate the ego?
It does feel as though like one would really have to just do the hardcore introspection while they have their awareness. The healing is really like the biggest, like that looks like one. And yeah, it's really like the art of like not giving a fuck, but in a not a aggressive way, but in a very neutral way. You have to come to neutrality.
So basically knowing yourself, knowing who you are.
And not allowing the external, because the external is the matrix, into disrupting that neutrality.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that feels important? I'm just curious. I don't think we went over that, but you said they were going, like they were on different conveyor belts, I guess, like going to different places, the souls. What were the differences in where they were going?
I guess it it depends like where they are going to be put in the simulation. Again, it's all about balancing the system. So some go there, some go here.
What do you mean? Like go like geographical
Yeah.
locations?
Yeah, and cultures, like different cultures.
Do any of them have a say in where they're gonna go or what they're gonna do? Do they have any choices that they can make?
Not that I see.
Okay, so
I don't see like really a choice. Like in this space, I don't see a choice. It really depends. I mean, like again, it depends where you go. Like if you are going to different Ds, like for
right.
heavens,
But for the souls in this specific place, they don't have a choice. They're just getting. Would you say that these are newer souls?
yeah.
Okay.
This feels like the new soul section.
Okay. Okay.
Because when they
That
come
makes
back, I do
sense.
see them like looking at the, you know, like just to see what if like this batch, like I guess like when they see it, it's like, okay, that batch should go there because that'll balance out so and so. You know, that's what it feels like to me.
So do you see some souls with just blue and some souls with blue and purple? Okay.
Yeah, most.
Okay. Um, So in the original session, we saw that you saw a screen that was kind of like looking out into the real world, say, right? That was kind of like just a metaphor for that. And they copy pasted these specks of consciousness, we'll just call them these different consciousnesses, and they copy pasted them into this matrix. And those specks of consciousness became the purple part of that soul. So that was the true divine spark within these souls.
Yes.
Right? How do they make the ones with just the blue part, just the ego part?
That's part of the, what do you call it? It's just the Demiurge part. So
it's just a replica, because that, I mean, that does align with the Gnostic text, because they say that they gave us their mind, right?
yeah, and that's why I think with the elders, the Demiurge is there. So it's like, I guess in that way, like they're giving that mind.
Oh yeah, back to those elders. So they're basically the ones in charge here. I mean, there's the Demiurge, and then the elders, which are the reptilians.
Yes.
The ones with the balls on their head. And so what's their job?
I feel like they just kind of oversee. They're the ones who are able to, I guess, decide on the, like, who goes where. So they're the ones who delegate, I guess, to the managers, like, we need balance here and there. So they do that. It's just to keep the system going.
Right. It's interesting that you talk a lot about balance in this scenario, because in one of the NDEs that I read on Wayne Bush's website, it was a really, really good one, where the guy met with the Demiurge on the way back down to Earth after his NDE, and he had all these contracts to sign and all of these things, and the Demiurge talked about, it was like a personified and embodied as like an old man, you know, with the beard and all that kind of stuff. And he had to sign all these contracts, but the Demiurge was so proud of himself that he was able to keep the balance within the system. And it had to be 2/3 light and 1/3 dark, and he had to keep the balance. So all of the contracts and everything that we sign are all about keeping the balance within the system. So it absolutely aligns with that information, what you're seeing here.
Yeah, because I see, like, if there is like an imbalance, it's not gonna work. Like it looks like it's so toppled over that it's not, that you need the other part to balance it out.
So these reptilian beings are kind of overseeing what needs to go where in order to keep that balance.
Right. And when oh, this is another part that I was saying, that I didn't mention. It's like, you know, like when I tap into it and I see how Lush, or the energy is created to feed these beings, to feed the system, etc. Again, taking out the human part with the emotional stuff and whatever, they're just doing things to survive, and it's not like anything personal. I just see it for them feeding the system. That's all. But I mean, bringing in the human shit, you're just like, look, that's fucked up. Yes, I agree, it is fucked up. But like taking my human part of it, you're just seeing what it is for as a whole, as the whole production.
So what you're saying is they're not doing it to be evil or malevolent or to hurt anyone, but that's just the way it is here.
That's just the way it is here. Like, yes, they do have like some fucked up shit that they do, but they don't have that feeling that we do. They're missing that source part. It's very artificial intelligence to me.
So when you view that, can you view their souls? Do they have souls? What are they?
It feels empty to me. Like when I tap into them, it's a very empty space, almost looking like the Demiurge. Like it's not an empty space, but it's a piece of that hollowness, but it has that Demiurge feel to it.
Hold on, I have to pause for a sec. Okay. So you were saying that the reptilians feeling through them, at least these ones in this space, were just kind of empty.
Right.
Empty agents of the matrix.
Yes, who do feed off of people. Who do,
Is that how they get their life force energy, feeding off of people?
yeah, because they're part of the Demiurge, so it's the same feeding of the system. So yeah, on the contrary to that, like when I feel into what is a malevolent being, it feels like the super degraded soul that was, I guess, were once source that had transferred in or had given up their soul, let's say to like the devil, Satan, like those demonic type entities are the malevolent ones. So those are the ones that are fucking mean and bad.
Those are the highly intelligent ones.
Yes.
That people make contracts with,
Mm-hmm.
make bargains with to receive what they want in their life.
Yes.
For example,
They're the opposite of, yeah, like of the source players that have, I guess, gone to the dark side.
interesting. So they were once true source aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And in this case, it feels as though it's like the ego part had swallowed that source part.
Right. So that can and does happen, where the ego
That's what I
completely
see,
takes over.
at least for these beings, because they have that intelligence, the emotional intelligence of doing some fucked up shit, but purposefully. Not to feed themselves, but it's more like there is that emotional part to it.
What do you mean?
Like how like when I was tapping into like the reptilian, there's no emotional intelligence. This one has an emotional intelligence, but not source of mind. It's not love. It's like they'll go for the terror. Great terror.
And so they create terror in humans. And then how do they use, or do they use that terror to benefit themselves?
I guess it just feeds their own stuff, like their own agenda, because like the section that we're tapping into is not at all part of this agenda here. This agenda, like when I'm talking about demonic forces, are of a different dimension and part of the matrix. So it's like they've created like their own little world part, let's say.
Right. So that's more like 4D kind of
Ish,
stuff.
yeah. Like the lower self space.
Right.
Like hell, like where that would be or whatever.
Right. And so this space that we are viewing with the souls and the bubbles, or the bubble souls, is in a completely different space.
It's a different part of the stadium. I call it stadium, like the whole matrix is like a huge stage or space. And that's another department.
And they're kind of sorting through the new souls. Okay. Very interesting. Any other information to add?
No, I think that's it right now. Hopefully that was cleared up. And we'll see. If not, then we'll go back in and or try to give more explanation or insights that we do get from this.
What I got was basically there's two types of humans here. One is they all have souls, but the souls contain different aspects. One soul contains just the ego. So then that person is just operating with a body and mind. The other set of souls have a divine spark.
Mhm.
So those are the ones that are able to break free from the hive mind and wake up.
Yes.
And that space that we saw was basically these beings that are in charge of the system, or at least work higher up in the ranks, are sorting through these new souls and deciding where they're going to go and what they're going to do, what lives they're going to go into, and things like that. And then examining them when they come back.
Mhm.
Okay, I got that right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good summary.
Okay. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Okay, so I will pause and bring you back.
Okay. And there you have it.
Welcome back. Yeah, so that's an interesting space to be in. How did you feel being there?
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable?
Yeah, because it's out of my comfort zone. Like, I
Hold
think,
on. Go ahead, you talk.
yeah, I think it's just because I'm usually used to seeing things in a much more controlled environment, and this felt out of my environment. So it's just new information that's coming through that I'm trying to process and try to relay again as accurately as possible as it presents to me. And also while simultaneously like cutting things up to make sure the information is genuine and real. So, there's a lot going on in the background that I'm not expressing, but yeah, I felt very interesting to feel because my human self was very present and trying to, I guess, feel through it in a non-biased way. So yeah, because I'm like entities or those fucking reptilians are assholes, that's but then they're just part of the AI system that
At
we've
least
created
those,
ourselves.
at least those
Those
ones.
ones, yes. We didn't go into another aspect, but when I was asking for the malevolent ones, then it showed me the lower dimensions of the satanic people or those spirits. They're demonic, satanic, and all that stuff.
Mhm. So those specific reptilians were working in the higher realms to manage the new souls
Right.
coming in.
Yeah, I think there are like different parts of like the malevolent beings that we haven't really explored yet fully like, in order to, I guess, categorize them in our mind or like, but yeah, I'm pretty sure like there has to be like intelligent ones. I guess what you would consider a level 3 rep. y-
Yeah, we've seen them before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember. But yeah,
Would you consider those a level 3 malevolent one or no?
the ones that were working,
Yeah.
I don't feel they're malevolence. Again, they're super neutral up there. Like I guess the ones that are in charge of the system. And I feel like what makes the malevolent part is the beings that are here, that are roaming around here, that are doing the feeding or the whatever, or
Mhm.
that have the intention or that create the level 1, 2, 3, for example.
Right. But those ones were in higher realms. Which is why we say just because a being is from the higher realms doesn't mean it's necessarily benevolent. Although you felt that they were neutral because they were just kind of working for the system.
Yeah.
Doing their jobs.
It was all production.
Right. So even these beings probably don't know that they're stuck here.
No, and I didn't even ask.
Right.
I was like, gonna keep it to a minimum. I don't want to like call too much attention on myself. So
Yeah, kind of just get in and get out.
yeah, I still look the same as the last time I went in. I made my nose really big and I had my hairnet on with my lab coat.
Blending in.
Yeah. Blending.
That's interesting. And so you said that when we asked to remove any of the cloaking, like things, the energy shifted.
Yeah. Yeah.
What what was that like?
Um, well, there's a part of me like, which is good, because then I need to work on that, feeling like I'm getting in trouble
By who?
by whatever, like the Demiurge or something. I don't know. Whatever, like the manager or the whatever.
Because they stopped and looked at you, right?
Yeah, everyone looked at me, so it was that kind of like, just blending. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like observing. I'm just observing.
Mm. But they didn't bother you.
No, they didn't bother me. Like everyone was just kind of like, okay, but it felt like more so a higher energy or an intelligence on top of these worker bees on top,
So you felt that intelligent
like a shift. Yeah, like just making sure that I'm observing.
and not doing anything.
Mm-mm. Burning those contracts.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments because we could go back in later and explore and ask your questions. And I mean, if you're up for that,
Why not?
yeah, we could always go back in and explore and ask your questions or even maybe go to a different space. But yeah, like we said in the last video, this all came about as a result of asking the question in our last session of how did this person, this spirit, this soul, I mean, you know, the words are like useless at this point. How did this person originally get to Earth? That was the question. So now, because we gained so much insight into that, we're going to start offering these soul origin questions, or how did I get to Earth, basically, and exploring that for each individual because it's not the same for all of us. We all got here in a different way. And I think it's good to explore that. How did we get here? What has our time been here? Our time here been like? And what do we need to do now to break free? So answering those questions, I feel is really important. So if anyone wants a session like that, just reach out to us. Because we're going to be exploring that.
Yay.
Yay. And if anyone wants to do that like on their own without Karen's help, you're more than welcome to explore that on your own. Yeah. All right, guys. Yeah, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section. Please like this video if you like it and subscribe if you haven't already. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. We're sending you all of our love. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.